Hello everyone, Assalamu alaikum, and welcome back to Maskaḥda and Healing. This episode is a little different because I'm sharing something personal, right? I feel like at this point of my life I am okay sharing, but I remember just back then with the shame, guilt, and especially with our culture and not fully understanding about how your mental health can deteriorate. I definitely had the put up on mask at first before I could be honest with myself with what I was going through. So this is going to be a hard episode, but I think from if I'm bringing in awareness and I want people to openly talk about their mental health, I have to kind of start with my journey, right? So this is why I am sharing, which is something I didn't even have the words for back then. So in 2016, I was struggling deeply, but I didn't understand what was happening to me. I just remember kind of feeling like I'm out of control of my thoughts, that I wasn't able to control my environment. I didn't feel safe. I had constant flashbacks. I just did not know what it was. I've taken psychology in colleges before. I've learned about mental health, but I didn't fully understand how it exists in a person, how it shows up in a person. Or maybe I just didn't acknowledge my symptoms, or what I was going through was part of that. So I think there was a lot of denial with that too. So basically, I just remember in 2016, I was in college. I think it was like my first year of kind of moving out from home. And I was kind of like, oh, okay, this is different, especially most of Somali girls, I think it's different not living with family members, and it's different having some kind of independency, right? So it was a different experience, and I had roommates, and that was something that I was just getting used to it. But I just remember at that time is when it happened to me. I don't know what the trigger was. I don't know what brought back my flashbacks, my uncontrollable thoughts. I honestly thought I lost my mind. I'm not even joking. I remember telling one of my family members, I think it was my mom, my dad, just saying that I don't know who I am anymore. I just told them مسكحدي بوق كفران, I just didn't know how to go into details, but that's all I could say. So basically, just kind of going before I completely go off topic. So I stopped going to school. I isolated myself, kind of pulled away from people. And I would just tell, at that time, my family, or I would go to the hospital and basically say I have migraines, I don't know what is wrong with me, that I wasn't sleeping well, would not tell what my nightmares were, would not tell the doctors what my thoughts were. I just didn't even understand it myself. So it's like, why would I tell someone what I'm thinking or what I'm going through, right? So there was a lot of shame or not understanding, denial, a lot of guilt within myself. Why am I feeling this way? So I just remember basically just saying, yep, I have migraines, I can't sleep, I don't know what's wrong with me. But the truth is, I was emotionally shutting down, and I didn't feel safe, and I didn't understand why I didn't feel safe. So for me, it was like, how can I even explain it to the doctor or my family members if I can't understand it myself, right? So I remember, that's just kind of what I remember telling the doctors and my family members. I just remember one time when one doctor, I think I kind of opened up a little bit, and I just told them I'm having flashbacks, ruminating on thoughts, constantly having nightmares, and they have said PTSD. And I just didn't believe it at that time because I was like, how could I be dealing with something from the past that I tried so hard to not remember. I just remember I buried it. I did not want to like think about what happened to me in the past, and I just tried so hard to not remember it and just to push it away. But deep down, like I kind of knew there were things I didn't want to face. I didn't want to talk about the past. I was always the one that's like get triggered by even hearing like if someone mentioned that family member's name, like I would just get triggered so badly that I knew something was definitely wrong. So there was like a lot of clues that was there, but I just didn't want to face it. I just wanted to forget about it and move on with my life. But that's not how trauma works. And I have learned that just working in the mental health field and realizing what people are going through. I think working in the mental health field has really opened my eyes to understand my own experiences, and just open my eyes into how trauma can impact your brain. But it lives in our body, and even when our mind does not want to face it, it shows up in different ways, whether it's anxiety, fear, shutting down, nightmares, pretending you're okay when you're not, and wearing that mask. So I did want to share just kind of looking back at what I journaled. I am not going to go into details my journaling from 2016 because it could be a bit triggering and traumatic for people. I still haven't done the trauma therapy for myself, so I don't want to go down that road, but I think I'm just going to share some parts that I felt comfortable sharing. So when I started writing some of the journals in 2016, these were things that I wrote that I took away from my journal. One of them was, why do I feel like I'm not here? My thoughts won't stop me. I am so tired of pretending I am okay. Why do I feel like I'm not really here? That was one of my thoughts on there. I smile outside, but inside I feel numb. And I think that's mostly the ones I wanted to share. Like I said, I'm not going to share the ones that I feel like it's going to be uh, too traumatic to talk about, especially for people to listen to and for my own sharing, since I still haven't done the work yet. So kind of moving past about my journaling. Even though I was in therapy at that time and I was taking medication, I think there was a whole part of it too before I was open to therapy and I was open to medication. My family definitely tried Quran Sar, which I'm not gonna say it didn't help. Definitely Quran Sar and spiritual helped me along the way throughout my journey. But I think combination of therapy and medication was still needed because of the psychological and my psychological part of it. So even though I felt like I was getting better, because I remember my Abba took me back to the Houthi, to the refugee camp in 2016. I still was feeling like, I was having constant flashbacks. I definitely want to take like revenge on the people that were part of my trauma. And I just remember like this lady, like I just had this hate for her even back there, and I just couldn't like let it go. And I will definitely like, I just remember dissociating a lot too and completely like not being present in a lot of things, so I don't remember much. But I just remember there was a lot of Quran Sar, which definitely helped. But that's before I tried the therapy and medication. But even though I was in therapy, I still didn't want to talk about what was going on. I avoided trauma therapy. I just remember even telling the therapist, hey, like, I don't want to talk about my trauma. Try to just help me in the present. You tell me what I can do right now to move on, and we'll be good. Then I'm open to therapy. So I constantly was like shutting down any therapist that wanted to do trauma work with me, or anyone that referred trauma therapist to me. And it's just more of like, I just did not want to revisit things and I just want to move past it. Um, so yeah, I just kind of was like, nope, I'm not ready. I am not in the right mental place to do it, and I'm not going to do it. So I think this year is even when I actually opened a bit up to trauma therapy. I just, with my current therapist, where I'm like, you know what, I think I'm ready to do that part of my healing journey right now to prepare EMDR, which is it's a trauma focused therapy that helps process things you never talked about. Yep, so that's what me and my therapist are preparing for, but I haven't started, and I'm still having anxiety around it because I'm just like, I don't want to get stuck in somewhere where I don't feel safe, because I just remember in 2016, I never want to be in that spot where I don't feel safe. So I'm kind of still nervous to even start that process. But I think mainly when I started recognizing or when I was understanding more about what I was going through is working in the mental health, which I think I already said, opened my eyes to a lot of things, and just kind of seeing people from all kinds of backgrounds, and what their healing journey was, and like what they were going through. That's kind of when it clicked for me. And I started actually recognizing symptoms or seeing myself in others that felt familiar. So, I mean, obviously, I wouldn't say to them when I worked in those jobs, but I would be like, oh, so and so, like, that's how I felt. That's how I felt. So that's kind of like how I think just seeing other people go through it really made me understand more about what I was going through, and saying like, that sounds like me. I have felt that before. So that's when I finally started to understand what PTSD really was and how it shows up in different people. And it is something that can live in your body quietly for years and show up in ways you don't expect, even if it's after decades. Um, so just kind of sharing my journey. I honestly feel anxious even talking about it, but I know that I'm in a spot where like I have built better coping skills. Learning mindfulness have been really helpful to me, and going for walks. I also started Zumba, which is therapeutic for me. Like, I just feel good when I do Zumba or when I go for walks. So I kind of found my own techniques and what to do to make myself feel better. So that has been really like nice to figure out like, what do I like to do and what helps me. But yeah, I think I am in a spot where I'm reminding myself that I am safe now and I feel okay, and I'm ready to start my next healing journey, inshallah. But just to end it with this episode part is just to remind people it is okay. Whichever healing journey or whichever part of your journey you're at right now, it definitely took me years to get to this point, but I'm here now, and I definitely feel like I have came a long way, and I'm proud of my journey. So just to end it here, if anyone's listening and any of this sounds like you, I just want you to know that you're not alone. You don't have to be ready right away. Healing takes time. And sometimes it starts with just admitting, I am not okay and I need help. So yeah, thank you for listening to my story and holding the space for me today. This is Maskahdin Healing, and I will see you guys next time, inshallah.